There was a time when owning a diesel meant owning something you could understand. You could open the bonnet, look at the engine, and have a reasonable idea of what was going on. Fuel goes in, combustion happens, the engine runs. If something went wrong, you could usually figure it out with a few basic tools, a workshop manual, and a weekend. That time is disappearing. And if you drive a modern diesel car, you've probably already started to feel it. Not because you've lost the skills, but because the car has changed around you. Let's start with the most fundamental shift, the fuel system. Older diesel engines used mechanical or simple electronic injection. The pressures were manageable. The components were accessible. If an injector failed, you could pull it out, test it, replace it, and get back on the road. It wasn't always easy, but it was possible. A decent socket set, a torque wrench, maybe a bleed procedure, and you were done. Modern common rail diesel engines operate at a completely different level. Fuel pressures in these systems regularly exceed 2,000 bars. Some newer systems push beyond 2,000. 500 bars. To put that in perspective, that's over 36,000 pounds per square inches. These aren't pressures you can work with casually. The tolerances inside a modern common rail injector are measured in microns, fractions of the width of a human hair. The injectors themselves fire multiple times per combustion cycle, sometimes 3 or 4 separate injection events in the space of milliseconds, controlled with microsecond-level precision by the ECU. And here's where the DIY barrier really starts. When you replace a common rail injector, you can't just bolt the new one in and start the engine. Each injector has a unique calibration code, sometimes called an IMA code, a trim code, or a characterization code, depending on the manufacturer. This code tells the ECU the exact flow rate, response time, and performance characteristics of that specific injector. You have to program that code into the ECU using a diagnostic tool, not a basic code reader. A professional-grade scan tool that supports injector coding for your specific make and model. If you don't do this, the ECU is essentially guessing. It's delivering fuel based on the profile of the old injector, which could be significantly different from the new one. The result can be rough running, excess smoke, poor fuel economy, or in some cases, the engine simply won't start. Bosch piezo injectors, for example, won't even fire if the programmed learned voltage code falls outside a very narrow band. Some vehicles go even further. After coding the injectors, you may need to perform a pilot quantity relearn, a procedure where the ECU recalibrates its pre-injection strategy for each cylinder. This often involves a specific sequence of revving the engine and returning to idle, guided by the scan tool, and it has to be done precisely or it fails. This is a job that used to be purely mechanical. Now it requires software interaction with the ECU at every step, and injectors are just the beginning. Let's talk about the DPF, the diesel particulate filter. Every modern diesel car has one, and it's one of the most common sources of problems, especially for cars used on shorter trips or in stop-and-go driving. Under normal conditions, the DPF cleans itself through a process called regeneration. The ECU raises exhaust temperatures to burn off accumulated soot, but this process needs sustained driving at higher speeds. If the car doesn't get that kind of use, the soot builds up. Eventually, the DPF clogs to the point where passive or active regeneration can't clear it. At that point, a forced regeneration is needed. And this is where things get interesting for the DIY driver. You can't force a regeneration by driving harder or revving the engine. It requires a diagnostic tool to command the ECU to initiate the process. The tool monitors soot load percentage, differential pressure readings, and exhaust gas temperatures in real time throughout the procedure. The engine RPM increases automatically. Exhaust temperatures climb above 600 degrees Celsius, and the whole process takes 20 to 40 minutes. You can't turn off the engine during this time. You need a well-ventilated space, and a fire extinguisher nearby isn't a bad idea either. Professional-grade tools that can do this start at around $200 and go well over $1,000. And even with the right tool, the car may refuse to regenerate if there are active fault codes, if the soot load is beyond a certain threshold, or if temperatures aren't in the right range. If the DPF itself needs replacement, you're looking at $1,000 to $3,000 or more. What used to be an exhaust component you could inspect and replace with basic tools is now a sensor-monitored, ECU-controlled system that demands digital intervention. Then there's AdBlue, or DEF, diesel exhaust fluid, depending on where you are. Most diesel cars built after 2015 use an SCR system, selective catalytic reduction, which injects a urea solution into the exhaust to break down nitrogen oxides. The system itself adds a tank, a pump, an injector, a heater, fluid level sensors, temperature sensors, and NOx sensors, all controlled by the ECU. When it works, It works quietly in the background. When it doesn't, it can be one of the most frustrating problems a diesel owner will face. If the AdBlue system detects a fault, whether it's a failed pump, a bad sensor, crystallized fluid, or even contaminated AdBlue, the car doesn't just throw a warning light, it starts a countdown. Many modern diesel cars will give you a set number of miles or engine starts before they enter limp mode, and some will eventually refuse to start at all. Repairing an AdBlue fault isn't as simple as topping up the fluid. If the pump has failed, it often needs complete replacement, and on some vehicles, the pump is integrated into the tank, meaning the entire tank assembly needs to come out. On brands like Peugeot and Citroën, a common failure involves the AdBlue module built into the tank, and the manufacturer typically requires full tank replacement. That's not a job most people can do in their driveway. And even after replacing the faulty component, you'll usually need a scan tool to reset the countdown, clear fault codes, and in some cases, perform an SCR adaptation procedure. Repair costs for AdBlue faults range from about £75 for a software reset up to over £2,000 for a pump or catalytic converter replacement. And these aren't one-time problems. Pumps commonly fail between 80,000 and 120,000 miles, and in cold climates, the fluid freezes at -11 degrees Celsius, adding the heater as another failure point. Now, step back and look at all of this together. The common rail injection system, the DPF, the AdBlue and SCR system, the EGR valve, the turbocharger, the intercooler. Each of these systems is monitored by sensors, governed by the ECU, and interconnected in ways that mean a failure in one can cascade into problems with another. A faulty NOx sensor can prevent DPF regeneration. A failing EGR can increase soot loading, and AdBlue system error can derate the entire engine. And here's the thing that really changes the game for DIY work. It's not just that these systems are complex. It's that you need the manufacturer's software or an expensive third-party equivalent to interact with them at all. A basic OBD2 code reader, the kind you can buy for $30, will read standardized emissions-related fault codes. That's it. It won't access the DPF module, the SCR module, the turbo control module, or any of the other subsystems that modern diesel cars rely on. For that, you need dealer-level diagnostic software, which manufacturers control access to and charge subscription fees for, or an aftermarket professional tool that may or may not support your specific vehicle. This isn't an accident. Manufacturers have financial reasons to keep diagnostic access within their dealer networks. It's one of the reasons the right to repair movement has been gaining momentum. Legislation is slowly pushing manufacturers to open up access, but the reality on the ground is that most DIY diesel owners are still locked out of the systems they need to work on their own cars. And it's not just about reading codes. Many modern diesel repairs require the ECU to be told that a repair has been made. Replace a sensor, and it may not be recognized until it's registered through a scan tool. Swap an ECU itself, and it needs to be programmed to the vehicle's VIN, paired with the immobilizer, and have its injector codes re-entered. On most vehicles built after 2006, an ECU swap without programming results in a no-start condition. So where does this leave the diesel owner who wants to work on their own car? It doesn't mean DIY is completely dead. You can still change your own oil, replace filters, swap brake pads, handle suspension components, do the things that are fundamentally mechanical. But the engine, the fuel system, the emission systems, the stuff that defines a diesel, that's increasingly behind a digital wall. And the tools to get past that wall cost money, require knowledge, and sometimes require access that manufacturers simply don't make available. This is one of the reasons you're seeing a growing interest in older diesel cars. Vehicles from the late 90s and early 2000s, before the full suite of emissions hardware became standard. Not because they're better cars overall, but because they're cars you can still diagnose by looking, listening, and measuring. You can fix things with hand tools. You can understand what's happening under the bonnet without plugging into a computer first. The technology in modern diesel engines is genuinely impressive. Common rail injection, piezoelectric injectors, real-time SCR dosing. These are remarkable engineering achievements. They make diesel cars cleaner, quieter, and more efficient than they've ever been. But they've also changed the nature of ownership. Where diesel used to be the choice of the self-reliant driver, the person who valued durability and simplicity, it's now one of the most technologically demanding powertrains on the road. The car still runs on diesel, but the relationship between you and the engine has fundamentally changed.